say I've been slacking for a month, but you can shut your mouth, cause I only run it up like, who the fuck are you? I've been living up while I rep the red and blue. I just wanna know what the fuck you wanna do, and you can't come for me, cause I'm just hitting snooze.
Welcome to episode number 3 of Beaveman and the Doc. You know, I just have to say something about episode 2. They can't all be gems. Anyway, it wasn't too bad. Thanks for that lead intro track by Skylar. I like it. Doc's a little old to like that type of music, but that's okay. I am the Beaveman.
I'm the Doc.
He's the Doc.
Not really that much older than you.
Yeah, it's not about the actual age. So in this episode, this is what I like to call a day in the life of. So for those of you who don't know, the Doc and I were both in the military. Doc was in the Navy, I was in the Army. So what we've decided to do, or what I decided to do, is that we were going to describe the other person's day in the life as we saw it through our own eyes, or how we thought it actually would go. Before we start this episode, I would just like to say that if anyone gets insulted from the respective military units, it's all in fun, and really, I don't give a fuck if you get insulted or not. But anyway, I would like to, however, say that I am dedicating this episode to my brothers and sisters who served in the military, dedicating it to those who gave their life in defense of this great country, and for those who fought and served, came home, and passed on later. Specifically, I always like to thank my World War II veterans. I'm sure none of them are listening to this, but they are the baddest asses that ever walked this earth, in my opinion. And they'll be sorely missed here, because in the next 5 to 6 years, there won't be any of them left. So if you know any, give them a big hug and a pat on the back. Say thank you for serving, thank you for everything you've done for us, and ask them if they feel bad that they lost because we're all a bunch of pussies. Okay, hey, I'm editing. Ask them if they feel bad that they won because we're all a bunch of pussies. I would also like to say that if there are people out there who are listening to this podcast, are veterans who feel like they're really depressed and feel like life isn't worth living, as far as I'm concerned, you can freaking call me, you can email me, you can call the Doc. I don't care, because we're losing 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that's fucking bullshit, and that statistic is probably old, and it's probably actually more than that. So if you really have to, if you really need to, call the emergency room. I don't care. Go do whatever you gotta do so that you don't freaking leave this world for some bullshit reason because you felt that life wasn't worth living anymore. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Because I know I used to ask mine that, and they'd say, yes, John, that's true. You guys are all a bunch of pussies. We tend to get weaker as the years go by. Okay, so anyway, that's my spiel. That's my thanks to those who served in the military. So what we've done basically is we've written out descriptions. I think that I will start off. Doc may interrupt me at any point in time if he likes, if he thinks there's any discrepancy.
Yeah, that won't happen.
Or if he'd like to interject in any way. So here is my take. Doc, a day in the life of a seaman.
I hate how easy the Navy is to make fun of, even though they're really awesome. They really are.
Sure.
But
Yep, sure. Yep. Okay, here we go. As the golden rays of sun stream in through the large veranda-like window of the cruise ship-type vessel, we see Doc, gently spooned by a tan, young Filipino man.
complete with music.
Wake up, sleepyhead. We see the ocean out the window, the waves gently lapping against the sides of the sea vessel. He yawns, rolls over and whispers, "Good morning."
25-foot wave slamming against the side of the ship, more like it.
And gently brushes a wisp of hair back from the soft brown forehead of his bedmate.
Bedmate.
Yeah, his bedmate. You know, the tan Filipino boy. The tan Filipino man.
They had the don't ask, don't tell thing, so there was nobody doing the bedmate thing.
Sure. He sits up and gets out of bed. He leisurely changes into his Navy physical training gear. You know, white cotton shorts and a pink tank top.
They called them dungarees. The blue dungarees. They were like blue jeans.
Here's your story. Anyway, he lightly jogs from his spacious quarters up onto the deck. Hey! His shipmates call to him and wave. They are all dressed the same except for one. Oh no! Doc has forgotten his sky blue ascot. Silly me, he thinks. That's liable to get me a... I had to flip the page. That's liable to give me a spanking, but good.
Spanking?
A spanking but good from the chief petty officer. Don't worry, sugar, says his friend Antoine. I have an extra. Antoine pulls a scarf from the front of his shorts and hands it to the doc, who accepts it gratefully. Oh, thanks, Antoine. And before putting it around his neck, he puts it up to his nose and takes a deep breath and says, essence of Antoine, he giggles. Antoine playfully pats his hiney and scampers away to get information. You can picture this, right?
I'm speechless.
You're speechless? Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
What do you say?
Let me continue, because I'm painting a good picture for everyone, and I'm sure everyone is really excited to hear the rest of A Day in the Life of a Seaman.
I think this'll go better if I say less.
A Day in the Life of Seaman. Okay, so after a grueling 4 minutes of toe touches, knee bends, and downward dog, physical training ends for the seaman. Time for breakfast. Doc heads to the galley, where the servants, all male Filipinos, in shorty shorts, oiled, shiny, and topless, are serving the 8-course meal.
You like Filipinos, don't you?
I don't. That's the Navy. That's all I gotta say. That's the Navy. It's not me. Serving their 8-course meal, complete with mimosas, because they gotta have mimosas.
What is that?
Oh, you know what a mimosa is. It's champagne and orange juice. You had them on the deck. You had them on the Navy all the time. Mimosas. Anyway. And gourmet espressos. It is now 10 a.m. 10 a.m. My, so early. Doc just shakes his head. What a day. Up since the crack of 9 a.m. Man, life in the Navy sure is rough.
Try 6 on, 6 off. You never get more than 6 hours of sleep.
We don't want to hear about your sexual
lucky.
male preferences. 6 men on, 6 men off. Anyway, after being fed by his own personal manservant, Doc heads. Doc heads to the community naval bath house, the naval bath house, for personal hygiene. Today is the day we get new oils, he squeals with glee. I won't go into much detail, but let's just say these boys would benefit from soap on a rope, because there's a lot of soap dropping. At around 11:30, he emerges from the bathhouse, shiny and sparkly, white in his little sailor suit, with his little sailor hat tilted jauntily to the side. He and his friends link arms and skip to their posts, singing show tunes, clicking their heels, and finding their friends for an impromptu chorus line. At his post, he grabs his markers, his Crayola markers, and writes some bullshit backwards on some glass for about 6 minutes. He yawns, calls for his manservant, cabin boy Philippe, the Filipino, to bring him some coffee with his fine ass. Quick as a whip, he returns. Now go on with your fine self, the doc playfully yells as Philippe skips away. That is a good cup of Joe, the doc laughs. He tilts his head to the side and thinks about his friend Joe. Oh, yeah. Okay. So now it's lunch. It is now noon, and the doc feels exhausted. He worked for nearly 20 minutes. What's on the menu today? Ah, yes, fresh seafood. Lobster, crab legs. I do hope someone is there to crack the legs for me, he thinks. I don't want to screw up my manicure, and I know Philippe has Pilates today. He can't possibly help me. He's in luck. When he arrives, there are young Filipinos in abundance. Once he has gorged himself on fresh seafood, champagne, and caviar, the doc is ready for his afternoon nappy poo. He snuggles up to Philippe, who's now done with Pilates. He is the little white spoon, he giggles. Anyway, he wakes around 2-ish. He gets dressed and heads back to his post. As he walks by the vessel's glory hole,
I'm guessing you guys just used a knot in a tree, right?
As he walks by the vessel's glory hole, he looks to see if the date he requested was approved. It is getting harder and harder to be the glory hole these days, he thinks out loud. Ain't that the truth? His friend Antoine shouts to him. They share a giggle and a knowing wink. Back at his post, he sees that his new recliner has arrived. He writes a bit of nonsense on the glass, reclines, and closes his eyes. He thinks about his days back home, before his grueling days in the U.S. Navy. All of a sudden, he feels something tickle his ear, like a feather. He looks up to see his commanding officer, literally holding a feather. Wake up, you little sleepyhead, his CO says. You drifted off. I just didn't have the heart to wake you. I knew I had to, though. I didn't want you to miss the show.
You fall asleep on the job, they're likely to throw you overboard.
Sure. Ah, yes. Every Tuesday we have a show with dinner. I believe tonight the main entree is braised lamb. He rushes to his quarters for his white tux and tails. Pardon me. Philippe has laid it all out for him. After a quick shower in imported water and a rub down, he is in his dinner attire, ready to go. Arm in arm with his manservant, he walks to the dining hall. The show begins. Ah, Les Mis with dinner. Superb. Brilliant.
Actually, there was one day when we had movie day, and all the rec rooms, they were playing Arnold Schwarzenegger movies the whole day.
And there probably wasn't a limp dick in the room, was there? Oh, yeah. Anyway.
We only went down to watch movies because we lost the football on the flight deck, so...
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you guys played Hide the Banana.
No.
All around him, creme brulee lights up the room. The champagne flows freely. The seamen sing along with the show. The festivities continue until nearly 11. Oh, it will be an early morning. 9 a.m. will come way too soon. The captain steps up to the microphone and announces, work will not begin until 1 p.m. the following day. He receives a round of applause. After all, the captain shouts, that's why we have the Marines. They love to get up at 6 a.m. and do all the work. The grand dining hall fills with laughter. Silly little jarheads, the doc thinks. The doc heads back to his quarters, arm in arm with Philippe, anxious to be encircled in those tawny brown arms and feel the soft, naked flesh against his pale, nearly blue body.
What am I asking?
As he lays there, content, listening to the orchestra music that is piped into his room, he reflects. Someday I hope my life won't be this hard. Someday I'll be a civilian, but for now, I must suffer to defend this great country. He closes his eyes and drifts off to gentle slumber, dreaming of purple and pink seahorses, rainbows, and lollipops. The end of another day and the life of the doc, United States Navy seaman. Or seaman. Seaman. Yeah, seaman.
You just like saying that, I think.
So there it is. I'm sure it's pretty accurate. This is what I think it was like to be a seaman in the Navy, specifically to be Doc in the United States Navy. Doc, what? I mean, was that pretty accurate? I mean, was that that was a totally on point, right? I mean, I got it exactly right. That's what it's like to be in the Navy.
Well, the part about writing stuff backwards on the glass, you got that part right. But it was when you would start on that particular position, you'd be there a while. But the only accuracy I could remember was writing on the program itself, or on the glass wall.
Oh, you mean about writing bullshit backwards on the wall, on the glass?
Well, you had to do some math, and you had to communicate. So I'm talking to other people while doing the writing, and then I have to calculate direction and speed and altitude. And
how often did you play hangman on the glass?
Never.
How about tic-tac-toe?
I might have done that once.
Okay. And your recliner, how nice was it?
There were no recliners.
So you had those standing workstations that had recliners? They had the cushy chair with it?
There were no chairs. You were standing the whole time.
Oh, so who was doing your foot rub while you were standing? Was that Philippe?
No foot rub. I don't think there was anybody named Philippe. Although I knew a guy named Phil.
He was probably French and his name was Philippe.
There was a little bit of accuracy about making the Marines do a lot of the grunt work. That way we didn't have to chip paint ever. But and then, like I said, movie day. But that was just a one-time thing. They actually grilled hot dogs and hamburgers out on the flight deck. Your general push-ups and sit-ups, those happened a lot. Go for a run on the well deck sometimes.
So you're saying that you weren't doing a bunch of knee bends and downward dog? Is that what you're saying?
No downward dogs.
Oh, okay.
Although,
now, how many days
although
a
there
week,
was an exercise called the Good Morning Dolly.
Now, how many days a week were you in the barrel or the glory hole? How many days a week were you in the glory hole?
There was no glory hole. I guess they only have those on command ships or something. But yeah, our ship didn't get one. We weren't that special.
Let me rephrase the question. When you were the glory hole, were you using the top or the bottom hole when you were the glory hole? I reiterate, when you were the glory hole, were you the top hole or the bottom hole? I mean, did you back up to the hole or did you put your face up to the hole? That's all I'm asking.
There was no glory holing going on.
Okay, so maybe you didn't call it the glory hole. What did you guys call it on the days that you were in it?
There was nothing resembling that.
Okay, all right. So you're saying that my story was 99% accurate.
Inaccurate.
99% accurate.
99.99999% inaccurate.
Is it because you don't want other people to know what you did in the Navy?
Well, there were a lot of seamen on the ship. You got that going right.
Right.
But that's part of why I give you the .0001 accuracy.
Did you enjoy
being generous.
being called a seaman and wearing your little sailor hat?
No.
You did not enjoy wearing your little sailor hat?
Hated those freaking hats.
Okay.
They were very hard to burn, though, because I tried burning one once, and they just will not burn.
They're pretty freaking hard, aren't they? Are they made out of like canvas or what?
Yeah, I think they are.
I mean, they look like they're pretty hard.
They probably packed full of asbestos or something like that.
So what kind of a boat were you on?
I was on an LSD, which is a marine carrier. We always used to make jokes about LSD standing for large sitting duck because we had no guns. Well, no significant guns to make us feel safe.
So you were escorted though, right? So you had ships on either side then probably?
Always.
Yeah, okay. So how many people were on this boat?
On our ship, I think we had a complement of probably around 2,000 at any given time.
So it's a huge boat.
Yeah, it's a big boat.
Say anything small would make me sick. Okay.
Although 3 or 4 days of hurricane weather, even the biggest boat will wear you down. And
Probably unless it's an aircraft carrier, right?
yeah. Well, I think even an aircraft carrier would be challenging after so many days of the rough weather. I mean, like I said, I was out during a hurricane, and it's a pretty scary sight when you look out over the front of the ship and you see a wave coming over the front of the ship, and the front of the ship disappears under the water, and somehow it manages to go back. So
I believe that's called buoyancy.
yeah, well,
That's how they manage to float. Water displacement.
ships are floating tanks. They're badass.
All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, that was my opinion on what your life is like. We can all agree that it was accurate, nearly 100% by Doc's own admission. And
Only in your dreams.
and he enjoyed the glory hole, being the glory hole. We can all agree with that also. Okay, so why don't you tell me then, not about the day in the life of the Doc, but what did you do? What was your job in the Navy?
I was an operations specialist.
And that means what?
That means that I was one of the people who sat in the brain of the ship and made sure that all the communications goes back and forth. We kept track of everything that goes on around the ship, everything that goes on inside the ship, and then we handled navigation as well.
Sweet, that sounds really interesting.
We assisted in fire control on.
Wow, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. That's some hardcore shit right there. Yeah. That gives me a witty just thinking about it. Okay. Well,
You're thinking about glory holes, and that gives you a woody, huh?
Yeah. I'm not thinking about being in the glory hole. Okay, so then what do you got for me then? What about the day in the life? Let me take you. You go ahead and walk us through it.
Well, I don't think what I came up with was quite as extravagant or elaborate as what you did.
So you're saying you're not prepared? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, prepared. Maybe.
Okay. All right. So what do you got for us
Just
then?
a little bit of a different style, I guess.
Okay. All right. Let's see what you got then.
Day in the life of Private Beaveman. At 3 a.m. he wakes up. To his drunken friends, taking a moment to tell him how much they love him, asking him if he has any alcohol.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I figured it might be. He wakes up again to the sound of bugles playing reveille at 0400.
That would be too late. I should have already been up.
Well, you tried to get back to sleep because you were a little hungover yourself. He lifts up the rock that he used as a pillow to find worms and grubs for a quick breakfast.
Half of that's accurate.
What, grubs, not worms?
No, the rock for a pillow.
Oh,
depending
okay.
on where I was at the time. If I was in the field, that's pretty accurate.
He locates his toothbrush and takes a quick moment to brush his teeth with dirt. Takes his morning dump using a banana leaf to wipe. No time for showers. Shaves with a jungle knife. His uniform is already picked out because he had to sleep in it.
That's super accurate.
Yeah, I figured. On sunny days, he used mud for sunscreen and camo. Yeah? Rainy days are scary because it washes away the camo mud.
If you're in Panama, it washes the monkey shit down on you for about 15 minutes.
And to you guys, I'm guessing water is very scary. So
No, it's not scary.
it must be.
It's essential. We just don't
That's why you guys
waste
bash.
time
That's why you
bathing.
guys bash on
We
Navy
just don't,
people
we just
so
don't
much.
waste time bathing.
He reports for 0630 PT at 0530 because they have a standard procedure to be a half hour early, and his sergeant told him that PT starts at 6 o'clock or 0600. Forgetting to mention that he already calculated for the half hour early rule. After PT, he's rushed to someplace random to stand around and wait for further instructions. To keep him busy, they hand him a broom and order him to start sweeping up the rainwater because water is scary. And unless you're drinking it, of course, then I guess they don't fear it so much.
So you think water's scary because we're not in the Navy? That's your theory? Is that I'm scared of water because we're not in the Navy?
I figured you guys were scared of water because you guys bash on the Navy so quickly.
Ah, okay.
All right. So, where was I? Eventually, the sergeant decides that they will be marching in a 10-mile circle for the day. Cadence is called for the march. This is my rifle. This is my gun. This one's for fighting. This one's for fun.
Never.
His lack of sleep leaves him confused, so he puts condoms over the muzzle of his gun instead of, well, where they actually belong.
They have muzzle caps. We don't use condoms. That was like a Vietnam thing.
I think they still do that in some places. At some point during the march, they stop to shoot things because guns are fun.
True.
Yeah, I would agree with that. After the march is completed, he's treated to a 4-course MRE.
Yeah, maybe. Let's see, you got crackers, you got the main course, cheese or peanut butter. The ones now are pretty gourmet. I mean, they're pretty good.
They even come with a little dessert, don't they?
Yeah, but ours were not as good as they are now. Yeah, maybe 4 things in there. Yeah, probably. Lots of calories. I mean, that was a good thing. Yeah, sure.
All of his friends play their music way too loud, as if they think they're a DJ or something. Anyone wants, and they assume that everyone else wants to hear it too.
Are you talking about like in the barracks or like you were out like outside playing music?
Just wherever.
Okay, sure. This goes back to your old man thing, I guess. But go ahead.
It's boring. Well, I remember a guy that slept at the other end of the room. He used to play the music from an old Taco Bell commercial with Little Richard, and he would play it over and over and over. Drove me fucking nuts.
What did Philippe have to say about that?
I don't think there was a Philippe. I'm telling you.
Okay. Was it Sven?
No, but the guy who was playing the music, he was Latino.
Oh, of course.
Can't remember his last name.
Well, if he was playing a Taco Bell commercial, clearly he was Latino.
For the evening entertainment, he tries to convince someone to go find some ID-10T cleaner so they can use it to shine the bullets that didn't get fired.
What's IDT-10 cleaner?
ID-10T cleaner?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Write it out.
What?
Write it down, and you'll see.
Oh, idiot. Okay.
All right.
That's not what we used. We said, go find us, what did we say? Squelch grease, or the keys to Area J, stuff like that.
We used to try to get somebody to go down to engineering and get a bucket of steam.
Batteries for the chem light.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Bring us 20 foot of gig line.
Yeah, that one too, yeah.
All right. His sergeant reminds him it cleans its weapon or it stays up past 10. He's able to finish cleaning his weapon on time because one of his friends was able to find the ID-10T cleaner. Shiny bullets, shiny gun. At the end of the day, he steals a moment to whisper a prayer before bed, thanking God that he's not in the Navy.
To the god of war.
Because he's...
The infantry god.
Because water
the
is
airborne
scary.
god. Sure, water's scary.
And finally, he's able to get some sleep to regain a tiny amount of sanity to start everything over again the next morning. Same shit, different day.
That's not too far off, actually. That's actually pretty accurate. You missed all the cool stuff that I did, but hey, whatever. Alright, so let's see your list so I can go through it.
The list, I didn't write it down.
Oh, you didn't write it down?
No.
No.
But
I just want to see it, because I'd like to go through it step by step, because it's actually fairly accurate. I mean, alright, so this is not a representation of what the young folks do now. It is not a representation of what the young folks do now. This is what a representation more along the lines of what I did in the early 90s as an infantry paratrooper. So let's see here, because I can really break this down for you as in field time and garrison time. So let's see, at 03 he wakes up to his drunken friends taking him a moment to tell him how much they love him. and asking if there has any alcohol. That's pretty accurate. I don't know that I would have woke up at 03. If I was in Germany in the barracks, that is actually pretty accurate. When I was living off base, off post, yeah, thankfully that didn't happen, but I did get drunken calls from my troops periodically. Let's see. If I woke up to the sound
I made a
of
few
bugles
drunken
playing,
phone calls home back then.
if I woke up to the bugles playing Reveille, I'm late.
Because you got to be a half hour early.
Well, because we have that plays, when, the flag's going up. You're in formation when the flag goes up. So if Reveille's playing, I better be off. Like, as in I'm not working that day. Lifts up a rock he used as a pillow. Yeah, I usually use my LBE as a pillow in the field. At home, I did have a pillow. I didn't eat worms and grubs. I did see some people eat some pretty disgusting stuff. We actually had this guy named Doo Brown in one of our units, and he would eat anything you asked him to.
Is that why you called him Doo-Doo Brown?
I am assuming that is why he had that nickname. But he would eat shit and everything, urinal cakes, whatever anybody would ask him to do. He wouldn't think twice about it. He would just take a bite out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing he's still alive.
I don't know that he is. I don't know that he is. Takes my morning dump only if I'm lucky. Banana leaves? Yeah, I never did that.
Yeah, I forgot to. I forgot to mention the part about your buddies sucking the snake poison out of your butt cheek after getting bit.
Oh, gotcha.
Forgot that part.
No time for showers. Well, if I'm in the field, you're right. We did not take showers. Shaves with a jungle knife? Nah. But you know what they would make us do? They would make us, I'm not kidding you, they would make us recamouflage, and then later on, they would have us wash it off, shave, and then recamouflage. Instead of just doing that first. More asinine shit.
You could take the camouflage off with the blade the same way.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, you could wash that off, shave, and then recamouflage, but no. Because you had certain times that they wanted you to do shit, they wouldn't allow you to do that. So you couldn't vary from the schedule, which was ridiculous. So I went from a unit that was a scout unit or a long-range surveillance unit where we had all this autonomy and there were 6-man teams and we got dropped in, simulated 150 kilometers behind enemy lines, and we had to depend on ourselves and, rear support dropping off caches for us, to go into the 82nd Airborne Division where they treat everybody like a peon and you can't even look at the maps and all that other bullshit unless you're an E5 or above. So you had to get to that rank to actually know what the fuck was going on. Yeah, so anyway, it was great times, 25% of it. Let's see. No time for shower, true. Uniform's already picked out? That's right, I slept in it. Up to 30 days sometimes.
We had to keep really close track of the maps in my job.
I would hope so. And
don't want to run the ship aground.
Especially since you're looking at a bigger, grid square than we were looking at for the majority of the time, unless we were in a desert. So if you're off by a degree, you're off by how many kilometers?
Yeah, like from the East Coast to Spain, you're looking at 1 degree would be about 500 miles.
Yeah, that would be very bad. That'd be very, very bad. Reports for 6:30 PT at 5:30. I usually got there at 6. Yeah, that's true though. We usually did have to be early. If you were there at 6:30, you were late, and you could get into a lot of fucking trouble. You didn't mention how long we did PT. Anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours.
I figured everything you guys did was PT. It was mind-numbing.
No, if you were lucky, you got to do a lot of PT, because we usually got it in the morning, sometimes we got it in the afternoon, and back then we had so many other things that we had to do, so many other tasks that were just bullshit tasks, like go here and do a parade, go here and jump for this person, go here and, clean these people's freaking living quarters on the outside so that it looks nice and pretty when the division commander comes by. Go here and do a funeral. Go the America's Guard of Honor, also America's Guard of having to look pretty for the rest of the country. And they think that's the Honor Guard that does that, but the 82nd back in my day, did a whole hell of a lot of it. So we did a lot of field time, we did a lot of training, and we did a lot of stuff to make the division look pretty.
Well, the difficult part for me, as far as talking about what I actually did on the ship, is there was a lot of stuff that I can't talk about.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I
sure.
can tell you, but I'd have to kill you.
Lots of stuff. Yeah, okay.
But no.
Yeah, me too, when I was a scout.
It was so long ago, it's hard to remember what I was allowed to talk about and what I'm not. So I
Well, they probably blew a lot of smoke up your ass because I was taught when I was a long-range surveillance scout that if we could hold out for 24 hours, it didn't matter what information we had anyway. So if we were ever captured, if you could hold out for 24 hours, any intel you have is useless. So you could spill your guts if you wanted to. It wouldn't make any difference. They would never figure anything out from the intel you gave them.
No, there was definitely long term.
And I had a top secret security clearance as a PFC.
Really? Wow.
Because you had to in a long-range surveillance unit.
Interesting.
Because our unit was attached to military intelligence. Long-range surveillance is, if you get captured, you're treated as a spy. Because you are not forward of enemy lines, you were behind enemy lines. That's where they drop you in.
Well, yeah.
So
You'd think that the less that you knew, the less that you knew, the better.
yeah, but unfortunately, as that type of a mission, you knew a shitload. That's why when I did that as a private, from private to corporal. So to do that for my first 2 years in the Army, and then go to the 82nd, where they don't tell you anything.
Did you
was
ever,
hard.
Did
because
you
you're
ever
like,
have to
what
do
the
that?
fuck? You don't even tell us anything. You don't let us have a map. You don't show us where our route is. And as a scout, everybody has to know the route. Everybody has to know the mission. Everybody has to know what you're doing in case you get captured, the team gets split up, somebody dies, whatever. You have to be able to do their job.
So did they give you that training that teaches you how to resist torture?
Oh, you're talking about SEER training?
Is that what it's called?
Well, for the Army, it's called SEER, or SEER school. But no, we didn't go to that. Special Forces go to SEER school. The pilots and the Navy have their own school, all those different things. I wanted to go to that school, but you have to be like a real special person to get to go, and usually the SF people get to go. I think it's a requirement for them. I'm sure it is now. They had a training, they had survival school in Germany also. There was a special school that we would send people to that was long range reconnaissance patrol or long range reconnaissance school. And I did basic patrol there and basic recce where you have to go and they show you vehicles underneath covers and you have to identify what the vehicle is because it's as if you were in a hide site looking at vehicles. But they had all kinds of really cool schools, but being a low rank person, I didn't really get to go to any of those. I only got to go to 2 of them. So I got to do those and I got to do air assault school. But all the other high speed stuff, if I had got to stay there, hopefully I would have got to gone. But some people got to do the cool shit.
Yeah, we did a lot of ocean survival, firefighting, and damage control, and I mean they were all regular parts of pretty much every day. So if you couldn't swim, well, it sucks to be you, because we spent a lot of time near the water. So.
Well, it was the Navy, Interestingly enough, when I was in Panama, we went to Panama where the Jungle Operations Training Battalion was. That used to be the Jungle Operations Training School or the Jungle Operations School or whatever they call it. They changed the name when we went there. Apparently they changed the name before we ever went there. So if you ever heard anybody that said they went to Jungle School, that's where we went, but they changed it to the Training Battalion. And we got, one time when we were going into the jungle, these boats came and picked us up. Just like the ones where you see the D-Day invasion, where they're coming up and
like riverboats.
Yeah, and they drop the gate and you come out of them.
Oh yeah, transports.
Yeah, they came and picked us up in those, and so we're tooling along. We were talking to the guy who was, I don't know, what do you call it, piloting or driving the boat or whatever, and we were talking to him. We were like, "Oh, so you're in the Navy?" He's like, "No, I'm in the Army." I didn't even know we had boats. They were all Army.
I would have now. See, if I were part of that division or battalion that was doing the beach landing, I would have been one of the guys
writing on a glass.
Right. Well, yeah, actually,
I'd have been one of those guys writing on glass.
I would have been one of the guys organizing the landing to make sure that they landed in the correct location.
Wow. Yeah, that would have been helpful.
At the correct time.
But not like hitting the beach or transporting the people. Just writing on glass and making sure they're all okay.
Planning, calculating.
Sure, planning's good.
Because we would offer fire support from sea.
There's planners, there's doers, there's planners and doers.
We would offer fire support from sea, and we needed to know where everybody was at all times so we didn't bomb our own people.
Absolutely, that's very important. That's very important. I mean, that's how you win a war.
Yeah.
You write on glass, You send young people out to die.
Everybody does their part. Does their part.
Everybody picks what they're going to do. So, I would say actually yours is pretty accurate. I would say it's pretty accurate. I mean, we spent our days cleaning weapons or shooting weapons or doing combat drills, like taking cities, taking buildings, taking trenches. Don't forget jumping. We did that too. Jumped out of airplanes. Always good times. And when you talk about the hurricane where you see the water coming over the top of the boat, yeah, I've jumped in a hurricane before.
God, no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as bad, obviously, because we were inland in North Carolina at Fort Bragg, but it was still pretty bad. And there was a hurricane going on, and they said, we're jumping.
Have you ever held your breath till you passed out?
No.
I have. And
is that when you were in the glory hole? Is it because something was down your throat?
What is your obsession with glory holes, I wonder?
Hey, it's your Navy, not mine. The Army doesn't do that.
My Navy didn't have that sort of thing.
Sure, yeah. There's only so many times you can hear that story and just claim it's a myth. It's like the Richard Gere gerbil thing.
I was going to make a Trump joke, but okay.
Okay.
Fake news.
Sure, if you say so. I'm just saying, we've all heard the stories about the Navy. That's fine. Well, there's only, I did see something kind of funny, is there's only two branches in the military. Did you ever see that? It's the Army and the Navy. The Air Force is a corporation, and the Marines are a cult. So there's only two branches of the military.
I would have said 3. Because, Army is very logistical. They collect information, and they transport and plan the movement of supplies and weapons and things like that. And then you've got the Marines, which are the walking human meat shields, and the Navy, which gets the Marines where they need to go.
Hmm. What about the Air Force? Corporation.
Air Force is in outer space. They're like not even on this planet.
Yeah, they're not. Our fort was right next to an Air Force base, obviously, because that's where we would go and get on our aircrafts to jump.
I apologize. I'm going to take this moment to apologize to my cousin because he's in the Air Force. So.
Oh, your cousin's in the Air Force?
Yeah,
well, fuck your cousin. Who cares? Anyway, the Air Force, a bunch of freaking civilians in uniform is basically all they are. The exception being, if they still have them, which I'm sure they've got some sort of, whatever they are, some sort of special ops team, which was, back in my day, it was the combat control teams and the pararescue. I'm sure they probably have some other fancy name now, but those people in the Air Force were badasses. I remember seeing like some kids who were like 18, 19 years old walking around with Halo and Scuba and all that other shit on their uniforms. I was like, who the fuck are these kids?
I've never even heard of that.
Combat control and pararescue. Yep. I won't say, I guess I can't say that every branch of the military has their special operations team.
Navy's got SEALs. Army's got Airborne and Delta Force.
Well, Airborne's not considered special ops. They're their own classification.
Huh.
And then you've got Delta Force and you've got Special Forces.
And the Marines, they have recon.
Rangers are considered spec ops too. Special ops too.
Okay.
So you got the Rangers, you got the Special Forces, and you got the Delta Force and whatever other special ops they've come up with now. We used to be, I don't know that they even have them anymore. Long range surveillance, that was considered kind of the minor spec ops, but it wasn't a true combat unit like the Rangers and Delta and stuff, because their job was not to engage. Their job was to observe.
Well, the thing is like we had so much interaction with planes and things like that. We had our own AWACS and transports and everything like that. How we had a floating flight deck, for God's sake. What use did we really have for the Air Force? Other than just testing new technologies that they'd turn over to us once it
I
was
still
ready.
haven't figured out what the Air Force is for, because if the best pilots are in the Navy.
Yeah.
So I'm really not sure what the Air Force is for, unless it's because they do a lot of the coordination with civilians.
Now in the Air Force, how many helicopters do you think they dealt with?
I don't know does the Air Force have? They must have helicopters, but I don't know what they.
You never hear about them.
No, I mean the Navy and the Army has the pilots for the helicopter pilots.
The only helicopter I think of when I think of Air Force and helicopter is Air Force Two.
Oh,
You know, the president's helicopter.
is that flown by the Air Force, or is it flown by Marines?
You know, I think it's Marines.
I think it is. I'm thinking those are Marine pilots.
That's funny.
I'm thinking that those are Marine pilots. I mean, I can't say for sure, but for some reason, I think that those are piloted by Marines.
Do you feel bad for the Marines that they have to fly under the guise of the Air Force?
Well, I mean, it's a name. It's not like, that's not, I'm sure that's passed down from Reagan era, but still. I don't know.
We did pick on Marines quite a bit on the ship.
Yeah.
Because, if you, especially if you hadn't been on the ship very much, one door was difficult to tell from another. Some people, they'd get lost and whatnot. So we'd get a few minutes and we'd get bored. So we'd line up outside of a closet, start banging on the door like, hey, hurry up, man, we got to go to the bathroom. And we wait and wait and wait. And pretty soon people would start lining up behind us, especially, the Marines that were on board. And so we were like, well, we're out of time. We got to go. I'll just have to go later. We came back like an hour later. More Marines, a couple of sailors, waiting in line outside of a closet to use the bathroom that's never going to open.
It would have been more funny if they would have gone to the bathroom, came out, and the next guy would have gone in. Because true Marines, that's what, I mean, if you'd have done that to us, to a bunch of paratroopers, I guarantee you had a closet full of shit and piss. I'm like, oh, this is your bathroom. Okay, well, guess what? Now it's definitely your bathroom.
Yeah, it was locked. So.
Oh, well, better hope we never get the key. We'll just find another place to go. Yeah, that's, that was all the good thing is, as a member of the paratroopers, as an airborne person, we just pretty much pissed our shit wherever we felt like it. And we stole anything that wasn't nailed down. If it was small enough for us to steal, we stole it.
I believe it.
Oh, yeah. But, I'm sure things are better now because they've been at war for 1 billion years now. But when I was at peacetime, we really didn't have that many supplies. So we just used to steal stuff because we were always going somewhere. We were always guarding something or doing something, and we just stole shit.
On board the ship, everything had a place. And if you took it from a spot, you better put it back. Because otherwise somebody's going to trip over it or hit their head on something hanging or whatever. It's especially when the ship's rocking back and forth and,
Well, that makes sense. But back in my day, the supply sergeants were not infantry. They were supply. That was their MOS. And they guarded everything in the supply room as if it was their own personal shit, and you couldn't have it. Didn't matter what it was. We had this one guy who was, I think he was Jamaican, so we would always go down there, and anything we needed, we were like, hey, Sergeant so-and-so, we need toilet paper. He was like, fresh out, man. And he'd have like an entire wall of fucking toilet paper. They're like, hey, we need, cleaning supplies for our M16s. And, fresh out, man.
Here's
Everything's fresh out, man.
Here's something that'll probably surprise you. Do you know, I started out in the Army. I was in the Army first.
Doing what?
I was a combat medic. At least that's what I was supposed to be. I can't remember the designation. It was so long ago.
When did you start off in the Army? Would you do like a split cycle, like one of those OSIT trainings?
I was 17. I was a junior in high school.
Oh, so you did OSIT.
Yeah.
One station unit training or whatever they call it, or you did what they call it. Yeah, where you go one summer for your basic and then you do the next summer for your AIT and then you're in.
No, it was more like the reserves.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then I had decided that I needed something that was more technical. And that's why I went into the Navy. Because originally I wanted to be a police officer. And the recruiters they lied.
Sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I fell for it. Being young and dumb and all that.
Right.
And so I wound up going in to the Navy as an operations specialist because they said, because operations specialists, a lot of them wind up being military police. I thought, oh, cool. Then
why?
That's the way.
Why would they become military police?
I don't know.
That doesn't even make sense.
Fuck if I know. But I wanted to go special forces too, but I didn't have the right mentality for it. Apparently, I have a bad attitude.
Well, you just didn't know how to utilize that for your advantage. See, if you'd gone in the Army with a bad attitude, that would have actually served you better. Because that's what my dad used to always tell me. He used to say, you have a bad temper and you can't play by the rules and you're going to have a really hard time in the Army and you get angry and all this other stuff. And I'm like, no, he was completely wrong. Because actually,
on that for motivation.
That is actually what they foster. Especially when I came in. When I came in was right after the Gulf War I. So we had all these propaganda films they continuously showed us, all these training films they showed us of the Russians doing all this crazy shit and telling us that we weren't allowed to die and keeping us up all the time and only let us sleep for 2 hours and doing all these things. And they wanted us angry. They didn't want people who were meek little mouses following all the rules. They wanted people who could fight and steal and do all these. That's what they wanted. So his idea was completely wrong. He thought I was going to be in trouble all the time and end up in the stockade and all this other shit. And I'm like, nope, I got promoted right away. I got up to my E4 right away. I'm like, nope, they wanted us like that. So, when I tell people, they're like, oh, I didn't have the right mentality. I'm like, well, you probably didn't pick the right force. You probably didn't pick the right, you probably would have done fine as a Marine or if you were in the Army. But, and then still you'd have to pick the right job. I picked the right job. Talking about recruiters is really funny because everybody always talks about how the recruiter screwed them over. My recruiter was a tanker. And it's not like he wanted me to be a tanker, but he was like, John, your ASVAB scores are too high for you to be an infantryman. And all I wanted to be was an infantryman. And he's like, no, you don't understand. He's like, infantry, they're the ones who go fight the wars. They're the ones who, they're the first ones in. They're the ones who shoot all the guns and live in the mud and in the rain and all this other stuff. And he's like, that's a horrible existence. And I was like, no, that's what I want to do. So he tried to talk me out of going into the infantry. And you run into a lot of, you were always running into people who were talked into being in the infantry. I'm like, but really, all the kids that I knew that were in with me, none of them got talked into being in the infantry. They all wanted to be infantry.
If I had waited like another 3 months to join, I could have been a nuke.
Yeah, I knew a guy we went to high school with ended up doing that.
And I regret not having the patience. But before that I was working at a donut shop making donuts.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, it was okay for a little while, but...
Did you get up every morning and say time to make the donuts?
Yeah, I made that joke a lot.
I'm sure everybody who makes donuts makes that joke, depending on when they were born.
My wife, she likes making donuts at one of the local places, just the one down the street a ways.
Yeah. I like making donut holes.
Yeah, she's into that. She's always bringing home donuts.
Did you get a lot of donut holes made when you were in the Navy?
No.
No,
okay. I didn't.
Well.
I didn't make anything.
Oh, okay.
I spent most of my time in an air-conditioned room, for a lack of a better term, staring at a radar screen.
Oh, making brown babies.
Brown babies?
Yeah, brown babies. No.
What's a brown? What's
brown
that?
baby? Nothing. Anyway.
Okay. Thought so.
Well, I tell you, this has been a really good and informative Beaveman on the Dock. Episode number 3. My part, of course, was Doc, a day in the life of seaman. Of a seaman. Day in the life of seaman. Of a seaman is what I meant to say. And we can all agree that my take, by Doc's own admission, is nearly 100% accurate.
Negative.
Nearly 100% accurate.
Negative.
Episode 4 is going to be up to Doc. That's he gets to pick. I don't know what it's going to be about because he hasn't said yet. We're going to hopefully help that it's something very creative from the creative mind of the Doc.
Well, we've been talking about adding like a guest star on the show.
That's always a possibility, subject to approval by the Beaveman and the Doc board.
Yeah, well, we want to make sure that that whoever we add to the show, even on a guest role,
doesn't suck
serves
ass.
a purpose.
Doesn't suck ass.
And doesn't suck ass. No
I
ass
agree.
sucking.
No ass sucking. Well, this has been Beaveman and the Doc, episode number 3. I hope it's a gem. Seems like it was pretty funny to me. They can't all be perfect. But get out there, people.
You just enjoy saying semen.
Listen to Beaveman and the Doc. Get your friends to listen to Beaveman and the Doc. Follow us on iTunes, podcast, Apple, whatever. Follow us any way you can. All right?
Figure out where we're at.
Figure out where
and
we're
be
at.
there.
Because we'll be posting. The Doc should be posting. You know, what else does he fucking have to do? He should be on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those things, getting us lots and lots of followers so we can keep doing this from the comfort of our... Well, shit, we won't be here. Shit, we ain't going to be here forever.
We're going to be mobile after
we'll
this.
be mobile after this, probably. But yeah, go ahead and listen to us. And as always, adios, much fuckos.